welcome to News, Games, and More, our nightly live news show bringing you the biggest news you need to know in the world of gaming and more. I am Terry Schwartz, and I am joined by the great Casey DeFreitas.
Hello.
David Griffin.
Hello.
And Ryan McCaffrey. Hey, everyone.
Howdy.
I'm so glad to be here with you all today. This is my first time hosting News, Games, and More, so hopefully I don't let you all down. We have so much exciting stuff to talk about, but I wanted to flag first, Casey is keeping an eye on the YouTube chat, so if you have comments about what we're talking about, drop some comments or questions in there, and we'll do our best to react to them on the show today. But first, we're going to be talking about a new indie game that looks as good, if not better, than the AAA next-gen games we've seen so far. There's cover art that was revealed for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, a tongue twister of a title. But first, of course, let's talk about Batman. I love talking about Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman. Well, Batfleck, yeah, literally every Batman. That's kind of the story that we're going to kick off with today. So we got news later today that Ben Affleck will be playing Batman again, or Bruce Wayne specifically. We'll get into that in a second, in the standalone The Flash movie. Now, we all kind of thought that he had hung up the cape and cowl with his previous incarnations, but we learned via Vanity Fair that he will return in the new movie that's starring Ezra Miller and helmed by It director Andy Muschietti. So this is something we were debating a little bit before we went live. In the Vanity Fair report, it says that he'll return as Bruce Wayne. We might be reading a little bit too much into it. Does that mean he won't play Batman? Unclear. But we do have a quote from the director who says of Ben Affleck's Batman/Bruce Wayne, "He is a very substantial part of the emotional impact of the movie." That's the Flash movie. "The interaction and relationship between Barry and Affleck's Wayne will bring an emotional level that we haven't seen before. It's Barry's movie, it's Barry's story, but their characters are more related than we think. They both lost their mothers to murder." Hopefully everyone knows that by now. And that's one of the emotional vessels. And that's one of the emotional vessels of the movie. That's where the Affleck Batman kicks in. So Ryan first. This news got you really excited, right?
Actually, I make the joke with the Martha thing, but I actually love Affleck in the role. I really enjoyed him. I think he just has the physicality for the role. I thought he was great as both Bruce Wayne and a very Dark Knight Returns inspired, just very brutal, no F's given Batman. He's my favorite part of what we've had as this DC universe so far on as far as live action goes. And I think he's great. I mean, I'm definitely in the camp that is sad that he, just felt like the continuing with the role wasn't for him, and we never got that Affleck written and directed trilogy that was originally bandied about. So I will happily take any more Bruce Wayne Batman from Ben Affleck as I can get, even if he doesn't put the cape and cowl back on. I'd just be happy to see him even as Bruce Wayne with Ezra Miller.
Yeah, one of the comments from Jay Going Up on IGN.com had a similar sentiment. They said, since this is going to be a Flashpoint film, I assume it'll be the final time Batfleck will be on screen. They'll do the same thing they did in the comics and change continuity so that the Batfleck can get a proper send-off and Robert Pattinson's Batman can still fill in the shoes. David, I know you also were a big fan of Ben Affleck as Batfleck. Are you similarly hoping that this is going to give a really good, potentially final performance for him in the role?
I really am. I really fell into the whole, just reemergence of Ben Affleck. I know he's kind of had, outside of the films, kind of an up and down things going on. But I saw The Way Back, the story of him as an alcoholic basketball coach. And that completely just gave me all the feels. I got emotional. I was crying during it because I was thinking, of Ben in the context of what's going on in his personal life as well as what's going on for him as an actor. And I love him as a director. I think he's also a great actor. And like Ryan was saying, we never got to see the quintessential standalone Batman movie with Ben Affleck in it. And he's very candid in that interview he did, Terry, where he talked about how one of his trusted friends told him that, hey, if you do this Batman movie, this new Batman franchise, it'll probably just kill you, because of what's going on in his personal life. And it's just really heartbreaking, and I think we all love a good comeback story. I want to see Ben do well. I'm glad he's getting a chance to come back into this Flash movie. I hope they, it'd be cool to see a Flashpoint kind of story where we get to see all these different kinds of Batman, like Michael Keaton, of course, and Ben Affleck. So I think it's cool that they're allowing him to come back in the DC universe. I couldn't be happier to see him again.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue. As you mentioned, Ben Affleck won't be the only former Batman actor appearing in The Flash. We also know that Michael Keaton will be reprising his role as Ben Affleck, or as Ben Affleck, oh my gosh, as Bruce Wayne. That would be a movie.
Quite the multiverse.
Listen, don't you want to see it now? No. Michael Keaton, of course, played Batman in the Tim Burton movies, and the director, Andy Muschietti, said that Keaton's role will be, quote, substantial. But as this probably suggests, if you're wondering, wait, 2 Batmans in a Flash movie? The Flash film is going to be an adaptation of the 2011 comics storyline Flashpoint. And Vanity Fair points out in their report that by threading the concept of a multiverse into its DC storyline, Warner Brothers is attempting to create a way for all the competing factions of its fandom to coexist together. Muschietti actually has a quote to this where he says, "This movie is a bit of a hinge in the sense that it presents a story that implies a unified universe where all the cinematic iterations that we've seen before are valid. It's inclusive in the sense that it is saying that you've seen everything you've seen exist and everything that you will see exists in the same unified multiverse." Now, Casey, this is something you were mentioning because obviously a lot of comments have pointed out this is a weird time to announce that Ben Affleck is coming back when we're on the eve of getting a lot more information about the Batman movie that was going to be the Ben Affleck Batman movie, but now is directed by Matt Reeves and starring Robert Pattinson. So what are your thoughts about him coming back? And is it a little bit too confusing at this point?
Well, so my original gut reaction was, are they going to do Robert Pattinson as the Batman like they did Jared Leto as the Joker and just kind of like do the one movie and then bring back other different Batmans that aren't Robert Pattinson? But as I read more into it and heard you guys talk about the multiverse, it kind of makes more sense. So they're not getting rid of Robert Pattinson as the Batman. They're just looking at Ben Affleck's Batman in the multiverse caused by whatever the Flash does to cause those multiverses. And it does make more sense when you think about it like that. Okay, they're not getting rid of one, they're just looking at all of the different Batmans. And I do think that is especially interesting, especially for fans of all of the different iterations of Batman and all the different movies and different media that he's come in. And I also wanted to bring out this question from Ryan Savage. I don't know if he's trolling us or not over in the YouTube comments. I don't think he is. But he says, do you guys and gal think Thomas Wayne will be in it?
Like, are they going to tell the Martha Thomas Wayne story again? You know, I hope not. I'll answer this one first. I hope not, because as we kind of joked earlier, like they've done the storyline of Batman's origin to death, and I almost hope that they go the Spider-Man Homecoming route in Marvel, where it's like you assume that the audience already knows that Uncle Ben died as part of Spider-Man's origin story. We literally already saw Martha and Thomas Wayne die in Batman v Superman. It's already happened in this universe. I personally don't need to see but I guess that answer is kind of hinging on assuming that's the only part of the Thomas Wayne storyline that we'd see. But yeah, I personally hope not, and they don't take it too far away from Barry's story. What about you, Ryan?
I mean, the whole thing about wanting to keep the fans happy and see, look, it can all fit together. Maybe just don't worry about it. Just make good movies. And if there's a one-off where, oh, it's a multiverse movie and we're doing this fun thing, but then the Matt Reeves movie can still just be its own complete thing where Superman doesn't exist and the Flash doesn't exist. And that's okay. It can just, I mean, Marvel and Spider-Man with Sony before that's been doing it for years. I don't need all these things to fit together. I think this Flash movie as this multiverse thing of bringing back Keaton and Affleck is great, but I don't need it to be narratively justified to connect to anything else they're doing. I can just enjoy it for what it is, and then go over and hopefully enjoy the Batman for whatever it will be. Because I mean, especially like me personally, everybody's got their own take on what superheroes their favorite and how they prefer that superhero. Like for me, as much as I do love Ben Affleck's portrayal, I really like my Batman to be as grounded and realistic as possible and not have aliens and all other superheroes. I like the idea of Batman as this just real world guy that lives in the same kind of world that we do. So that's, I like that interpretation of it. So, I'm happy to just have the Batman be that, if that's indeed what it's going to go for. And have Affleck's version be part of this multiverse, obviously, and from Justice League and all that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't worry about it if I were Warner Brothers. Just make
Oh, but
cool
they
movies.
are, of course. They want these movies to make money. They've long wanted them to be on the level of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? And they do have, I think the concept of the multiverse is something that they're really mindful of, because they do have the Arrowverse shows that did address the multiverse last year and kind of tried to bring everything together. And there actually should be a panel. I don't think it got removed either this Saturday at FanDome or in the second event in September that's supposed to entirely address from Jim Lee and a bunch of people involved with DC, how the multiverse of their films and movies fit together. So I think that they want to have an answer to that question for fans who do care to that level. But talking about this actually brought up something I hadn't even been thinking about before. And David, I'm going to direct this question at you first. But so the plan is for the Flash movie to come out summer 2022, if that doesn't get delayed. Presumably the Batman will come out before that, knowing that they are bringing back Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman. Do you guys think that Robert Pattinson's Batman may make an appearance in that movie? And do you think that would be too much of a potentially jump the shark moment for all the reasons that you just were saying, Ryan, about having that be standalone, like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was standalone? So David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Terry, I was going to say, I think they can do that as long as it's just not the focal point of the film, doesn't take away too much from what's, like you said, what's going on with Barry's story. I don't mind that at all. I think one of the coolest cameos I thought was, and again, switching sides here a little bit, but going to looking at Marvel, is when I think Loki turned himself into Chris Evans, as Captain America. And it is a very quick scene. It's a very quick cameo, very fast. It didn't take away from the film. It didn't overshadow what was going on in that scene. It was just kind of one of those cool, subtle moments. I think if they do something like that, would work out really well. I just wanted to go back for a moment to touch on the Thomas Wayne question. For those of you who are fans of the Flashpoint comic book series, or if you haven't read it yet, Brian Azzarello did do I want to say a 3-issue spinoff of Flashpoint where they touch on Thomas Wayne. It's kind of a different twist on the Bruce Wayne, Martha, and Thomas Wayne story. So if you want to see that story, and it might not make the cut of the film, Thomas Wayne does get a lot of play there, and he's also in the Flashpoint animated movie. I believe Kevin McKidd voiced him. But yeah, with the Flash, though, I think having Robert Pattinson would be cool. It's like, why not? I mean, he's part of the universe, throw him in there.
Casey, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with David. I think a short cameo by Robert Pattinson could be really cool, but I wouldn't want him to take over the complete focal point of the movie. But yeah, what David said, I'm just going to repeat what he said.
And Ryan, lastly, what do you think?
Well, as I said, so yeah, I will vote against my fellow panelists respectfully. No, I don't. I want Matt Reeves as the Batman to be kind of like the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Just be a grounded, real world Batman where there are no other superheroes. Hopefully, there's no other Robin, because I hate Robin. No aliens, no nothing. Just be like this grounded, real world Batman. So that's what I'm personally hoping for out of Reeves's films.
I think I'm a little bit with you, but I guess I'll reserve judgment for a year or two from now when we hopefully eventually see those movies. Now, more to come on the Batman, this and the Flash movies. This weekend, they'll both have panels at DC FanDome this Saturday. And as I mentioned, the Flash is scheduled to be released in summer 2022. But speaking of, there is more great news out there about all things DC, and I know we spent a lot of time on that topic, so we won't linger too long on these. But I did want to flag that both the Batman movie got a logo released, and Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut of Justice League got a teaser as well, both pointing to their FanDome panels as having big news. So the Batman official movie logo, which maybe we'll be able to show you here, but I can quickly describe it to you. It features the Batman in blood red text set against a black background and an image of the bat emblem that we saw on Robert Pattinson's rugged bat suit that was released last year. And then Matt Reeves also posted a new piece of art from DC artist Jim Lee depicting a stylized take on Robert Pattinson's Batman. Both promoting DC FanDome. And then Zack Snyder released a short teaser video with some new footage of his Snyder Cut, which includes a glimpse at the newly resurrected Superman, played by Henry Cavill, inspecting the broken pieces of a commemorative statue that was erected in the Man of Steel's honor, a snapshot of the pivotal moment in a pre-cyborg Victor Stone's life, where we see him as an athlete celebrating a win at a football game. And then the last shot of the teaser is of the Justice League assembling for action. Now, FanDome was originally going to entirely take place this Saturday, but was recently split into two different events. I think the Saturday one is going to have the biggest stuff that we're personally the most excited about, in addition to all these movies and the Suicide Squad and Black Adam and James Wan's Aquaman sequel. There also is going to be new looks at Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and WB Games Montreal's rumored Batman game. I don't know. I feel like we all know that it's going to be a Batman game. But I wanted to go around the crew here and find out what you guys are really looking forward to about DC FanDome this weekend, and then what you think of these new looks at these two big movies. So, David, I'll start with you.
I think for me, I noticed, and maybe because I've just been craving more and more, sports as we've been in isolation here. But I remember watching the original, like the older Justice League trailers. And I remember there was a few scenes where they showed Victor, look, he was running through the rain in his, his football gear. And then I remember seeing the movie, and I'm like, I don't think we got that scene. So again, I'm not sure how pivotal of a scene that is to see him actually play football, but I wanted to see more of that. So I'm very, very curious. I guess, Terry, just like everybody else, I'm just curious to see, like, what are going to be the biggest changes here? Is this going to is this going to turn Justice League into, like, this new classic superhero film? I don't know. I know everybody's amped and pumped for it. I am too. I just don't know. I guess I just have no idea what it's going to be, but every little bit they show gets me more and more interested. So I hope we get a nice size reveal at DC FanDome over the weekend.
Ryan, I'm going to go to you next, and then Casey, I'm going to see if when we get to you, if anyone in the comments has anything that they want to share as well. But Ryan, what are you looking forward to from DC FanDome this weekend?
Yeah, there's I believe it's either 4:30 and 5 p.m. or 5 and 5:30 p.m. I know back to back is Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and the Batman panel. So that's the power hour for me. That's like hitting my exact interest point where I just can't wait to find out more about both of those things. I so badly want them both to be great. And yeah, just kind of eager to see. I presume we're going to get some footage of the Batman in some capacity, whether it's a teaser based on what they've already shot prior to the COVID shutdown, or what. But and then with Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, finally seeing what Rocksteady's been up to for the last 5 years is going to be awesome in and of itself, just to see like how tonally close this will or won't be to the Batman Arkham games, and how if it will clearly share any like universe similarities. Will it kind of be in the same universe or not? So very eager for both of those panels on Saturday late afternoon here on Pacific time zone, and evening on the East.
Yeah, it's crazy how long it's been since we got this Batsuit reveal for the Batman. I'm with you. I know they're supposed to be going back and start filming again in September, but they shot a chunk of the movie, and Black Widow put out a teaser at Comic-Con last year when they shot for like a week. So hopefully, I'm with you. I hope that they show something from some of these big movies. Casey, what about you?
I just want to see a teaser or preferably a full trailer for the Batman. I feel like we've been hearing about it for such a long time now. I just want to see it. I just want to see it in action. But from the comments, really everyone is still just discussing Batman and Batman as they appear in Flash. This person named Tyrone Israel says, "I'm so freaking hyped for the Batman." Sigh. We have another person here we go. Ben Bamboo says Ben Affleck coming back as Batman is nowhere near as surprising or wanted as it would be if Christian Bale was returning. Affleck's BM movie run was so horrible, it's not something I'm celebrating.
Who knows, though? Do you think at this point could they get Christian Bale to come back if they're really trying to bring all the Batmen together? They managed to do it last year in the Crisis on Infinite Earths Arrowverse crossover. They brought in a bunch of different Flashes, including Ezra Miller's The Flash, to tie the TV shows to the movies, and that seemed like it was too crazy to be real. So maybe Christian Bale.
Well, again, like in defense of wanting to hold on to my grounded real world Batman movies, of which, as I said, I cited the Nolan trilogy. I do not want to see Bale like crossover into anything else. Like I want that to just be its own thing, which is maybe selfish of me as a fan, but that's how I feel.
Also, Willy Will, I know you just called me out, but he says, or she says, no one is talking about Batman. Everyone is talking about Black Myth, which is also true. They're talking about Batman and our next story, which is Black Myth Wukong.
What a
So
perfect segue. Thank you so much for setting us up for that. I guess that'll take our cue to move on from all things to DC to.
Is that your shadow account, Terry? Is that your burner account on
That
IGN
is
that you
what
just
you
you
can't see
planted
is
that?
that I'm back here secretly typing and in the YouTube comments myself, really hosting this and changing the topic. No, that is a perfect segue though. Everyone has been talking today about this game that came out of nowhere, at least as far as we're kind of concerned. A gorgeous action RPG called Black Myth Wukong that came from developer Game Science Studio, a Chinese indie developer. To give some context, like, you know, we're obviously, we cover the things we're passionate about, but we also at IGN take note of the stuff that really pops big for our audience. Our article about this game and showing off the footage has been our #1 article all day. It hit 1 million views for us, the footage on our YouTube channel in 8 hours. And last I checked, which was before this show, it had 66,000 upvotes. So for us, that's like, that's a big pop. There is 13 minutes of footage that was released, which I'll get to it in a second. But a lot of the commenters were saying, wow, like I love having a trailer like this that actually shows the in-game footage, even if it is not finished, to give a sense of the game instead of these more stylized trailers that get released. So this has been announced for consoles and PC alongside an impressive, as I said, 13-minute video. And this is an adaptation of Journey to the West, a 16th century novel that is one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. So some comments from IGN, the top voted ones from It's Helios, says, I must have this. Also, props revealing a game by a gameplay trailer. That's sadly rare these days. The art style, the graphics, the gameplay, they all look amazing. And another comment from Just Another Dummy, which I love your username, on IGN.com, says, this is an indie studio? Wow. AAA studios should feel bad, should feel really bad. This is by far and away the best looking game I've ever seen in my life. It's absolutely insane, and it's still just pre-alpha. I really hope this game doesn't get downgraded for launch, because this is the first truly next-gen looking game I've seen so far. Now, no release date has been given, and with good reason. Game Science explains that the team is currently very small and is using this early announcement to attract new talent to the studio to hopefully build a final version. But as IGN's Joe Screbble says in our IGN article, it seems very likely that this will be a game aiming for next-gen platforms. Now, Casey, you're familiar with the source material with Journey from the West. Do you want to talk a little bit about knowing that and seeing this game pop up, what your response was?
Well, this looks awesome. I really like a lot of games and media that take inspiration from Journey to the West. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Dragon Ball. It was originally greatly inspired by the story of Sun Wukong, who is the Monkey King. Goku, Sun Goku. That's how it is. But he has a magic staff. He has a flying cloud called the Nimbus to fly on. He has a tail. He can turn into a big ape, and that is has a lot of parallels with the original kind of myth, where Sun Wukong is a monkey who can turn into an ape, but along with that turn into a lot of other animals, which we can see here how he turns into a cicada in the trailer. He also uses a magical staff, which I believe in the original myth he stole from under the sea, and whenever there are storms and bad weather at the sea, it's actually his fault for stealing the staff that controlled the sea's weather. And man, I don't even know where else to go. There are some other forms of media that use this as inspiration as well, including Enslaved Odyssey to the West. The name was very on the nose. But in that, as well as, for example, the anime called Sayuki, they have headbands that kind of limit or control them. And that is directly from the myth as well, as after being trapped for 500 years because he was such a nuisance to the gods and other mythical entities, he was released by a monk who then got the headband to control him, to be his bodyguard as they journey to the west to India. And this is where some other characters that you might be familiar with are introduced as well, including a pig-like character that you can see in Enslaved Odyssey to the West and also in Dragon Ball. I can't remember the pig character's name in Dragon Ball. I think like Oolong. I don't remember his name, but there's a lot of different things. You can also see Sun Wukong in Smite or Sun Wukong inspired characters in League of Legends. There are a lot of different games that pull onto this, and you see a lot of this in this game trailer as well.
Casey, I
Sorry for
totally put
going.
you on the spot with that question, and I love that you just like had that information all there and ready. That was amazing. I did see some comments on our YouTube video talking about how they were really excited this was a game pulling from Chinese mythology instead of just another game pulling from Greek or Norse mythology. Uh, and obviously, it also has, you can see it here, a Souls-like combat system, which has a lot of people excited. Now, Ryan, your job at IGN is literally to be like, what is the next big game coming out? And so I think to underscore that this was like really a surprise reveal today, it wasn't on anyone's radar. Talk about how, like, where it kind of came from and what the response you've seen online so far to this title.
Yeah, I feel like this is 2020's Atomic Heart, if you remember that game,
Right.
which still isn't out, but we've been featuring a lot of exclusive gameplay every so often on IGN. But yeah, this looks great. It is interesting that, go figure, that this reveal was more, echoing one of the commenters that you read earlier, Terry. This was more of a mind blowing next gen reveal than, I would argue, anything that Sony or Microsoft did at their events. So go figure. But yeah, 13 minutes of gameplay. There's a mix of, there's some cinematic stuff in there too, but it's a lot of actual gameplay. I guess my having done this for almost 18 years now, my defense mechanism that has to automatically trigger is, okay, was this just a vertical slice and the final game won't look that good? Because we've seen that a million times before, which my that defense mechanism only kind of is, I'm a little worried about it even more because of the fact that they're using this demo as like a recruitment tool. So
Right.
that leads me to wonder, oh, is it just a vertical slice? But
Protect your
Daniel
heart.
Ahmad on Twitter, who is sort of an industry insider, he posts a lot, and he was the one that broke this, sort of put this out there, and everybody else picked up on it. Said the studio was established in 2014. They've worked on 3+ games. They have some ex-Tencent game staff with an average of 13 years experience. So a veteran team here. He says, I counted more than 40 staff. They are recruiting 19 more. So they're growing by about 50% over where they are now. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how this comes together. But yeah, everybody is paying attention to this now, and for good reason. It looked fantastic, and hopefully this will end up being a real thing that plays as well as it looks when it does finally get set for release.
Yeah, no, David, I'm going to come and get your impressions next, but I want to flag Casey. I'll come to you after that to see. I know I got shushed on the Batman topic, so I want to hear what folks on YouTube have to say. So if you guys have impressions that you want to share in the YouTube chat, please do, and we'll read those off in just a minute. But David, I know you had some thoughts on the combat system. It looks challenging and exciting, but in a good way.
And before anybody reacts in the comments, it's nothing to do with the lack of quality. I mean, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. It's just that me personally, my gaming style, I'm a bit of a wimp. I'm scared. I've tried the Bloodborns and the Dark Souls, and I get to the first level, and I just can never make it past. I wimp out. I throw in the towel. I know you're supposed to die like 100 times. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes and get better and be a better gamer. You know, hashtag get good. But for me, I just throw in the towel and I'll just play some flight simulator or something, you know, which is hard enough as it is. It just scares me, but it's one of those games that I want to try. I hope it's not like a Bloodborne. It's maybe there's some level settings so I can, you know, take the easy way out. So I can give it a shot.
It is an interesting choice for the combat system though, right? Because knowing that this is early on in their development, as you said, they're still looking to staff up. This game probably is at least a few years out, if not more. The Souls like combat system is so, it's not going anywhere, right? It's not like a battle royale that may phase out in a few years, or maybe not. It seems like a pretty good combat system to commit to and potentially hone over the years. As well. But I'm with you. I was saying to Ryan earlier today, I'll take that JRPG turn-based combat system any day of the week because I don't like to be surprise killed and have to learn from my mistakes. Come on. All right, Casey, I'm going to come over to you. What have people been saying in the chat?
So, some people in the chat are asking how we know if it's a Souls-like game if we haven't played it yet, and I kind of get that, but um, I mean, I guess we don't know. Guess we don't know exactly how punishing it is, but it's seeming how reliant the character is with doing the rolls. I mean, the roll dodge is very synonymous with
Yeah.
Souls-like, and it also seems that there are some counter abilities if you watch the boss fight. But I also noticed, and I'm really glad for this, that there are definitely iframes in the dodges. So like there are invincibility frames, which is something if you've played Monster Hunter, you'll be familiar with as well. And something the Final Fantasy VII remake totally lacked, not throwing too much shade there. But I'm really excited for this. I think it looks awesome, but I think we also believe it might be Souls-like because he is actively avoiding enemies, and if it
Right.
wasn't difficult, you would have no reason to avoid the enemies. You would kill them to level up or use them as fodder or,
Right.
not
And
worry
the
about them.
pacing of it and the time to
Mhm.
kill on the enemies, like
Yeah.
it gives off a ton. I mean, maybe it will ultimately not quite play like a Souls-like, but it sure gives off all those vibes from that 13-minute gameplay video.
Mhm.
That's a great
But
point, though. It's easy to prejudge expectations, right, on early demos and gameplay reveals like this. So as Ryan was talking about earlier, and Casey and David were talking about, who knows what the final version may end up being that we see in a couple of years.
But I'm also going to echo some people in the comments. Seth Ross says this game looks incredible. Unitor699 kind of gives us a controversial comment and says this blows Cyberpunk away, which is a really big statement, right? But
Apple meet
it looks
orange.
great. It looks amazing. And even you see the lighting effects on that magic staff that's on fire, just looks absolutely incredible. I also think it's interesting that the character collected the staff, and then when he takes it out for the boss battle, he doesn't just use the staff, he turns into the character he stole it from. And I think that might be a really interesting mechanic as well. I'm really looking forward to seeing more about this.
Well, awesome. So we are obviously, this is very much on our radar. You'll be seeing a lot more coverage of Black Myth Wukong as we get more information. So make sure to stick around on IGN, and we'll have more to come on that. But for our last story of the day, I wanted to flag a follow up to one of our biggest stories yesterday, which was Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War getting its teaser today. We got to see its cover art. The image shows brief snippets of propaganda posters that eventually tear away and show a split figure, one side a Soviet soldier and the other American. It was kind of a motion poster that was revealed by Activision on Twitter. And we know the Black Ops Cold War appears to be highlighting this pivotal 20th century conflict, the Cold War, while drawing some parallels to the current political climate. So, Ryan, I know you and Miranda Sanchez are our Call of Duty peeps. So, what did you think of the cover art, and what are your thoughts on just Black Ops Cold War in general?
I am very intrigued by the idea of this game in the sense that for me, I actually think, I know this will be sacrilege to some people, but hey, opinions. Black Ops 1 is my favorite Call of Duty campaign ever. I mean, full respect to Call of Duty 4 / Modern Warfare 1. I know a lot of people, there are a lot of Modern Warfare 2 fans out there, but I loved Black Ops 1's campaign and the Vietnam era and the whole twist with JFK at the end. Spoiler, go play it if you haven't. That's I didn't ruin it for you right there. You got to go find out and see what's up. But so the fact that this is called Cold War leads me to think, well, it must be set nearish to the first game, whereas the more recent Black Ops games have gone into the future. So I am curious where this fits in, and if it's going to be a full and proper single player campaign, which of course Black Ops 4 didn't have. So I'm very interested. Modern Warfare, the reboot last year, really kind of got me back on board with Call of Duty campaigns. I had been the other board, BORED board, with them for in recent years when they even offered them, because of course Black Ops 4 didn't have one. So super curious about this. Really hoping that campaigns come back and as a focus of Call of Duty rather than just being the throwaway wrapper for the multiplayer mode.
Now, Casey, I know you were on News Games and More yesterday, and you were
Mhm.
talking about this reveal. And you said, if I'm not mistaken, you've primarily played the multiplayer versions and not
Yeah.
as much the campaigns. I'm curious to something Ryan brought up. Do you have a preference in the historically based games versus the more future facing games in what you play?
Not Not a ton. I mean, considering I have only played the multiplayer thus far. I'm gonna change that this year. I promise. I promise I'll play a COD single player
You got a
campaign
new
this
one.
year. I'm gonna get a new one. I'll able to do it. But as Kratos mentioned in the comment, Ryan's taste is spot on with COD. So I'm gonna assume Ryan is better than me in choosing which COD I play. I mean, I just play the newest COD multiplayer, and that's how I determine which one I play. I just play the one that everyone else is playing. I'm really basic. I'm sorry.
It's interesting. We talk so much about replay value in games, right? Like if you're going to invest all this money in a title, you want to have something that has some legs, and obviously the multiplayer components, which it's perfected in so many ways over the years, are a lot more replayable than the campaigns. But I'll admit I've never played a Call of Duty campaign as well. It's just not quite my genre of gameplay. But Ryan, I mean, they've kind of knocked them all out of the park as far as I've read, especially in previous years. Have you been disappointed in any of the recent campaigns, or do you think that this will set a
Oh,
high bar?
absolutely. Yeah. No, the before the Modern Warfare reboot last year, I don't think there'd been a really great Call of Duty campaign. Gosh, it had been a while. Like World War II was fine. Um, the let's see, Advanced Warfare is a while ago now, but like they'd all just been okay. That would be that just a little too just ho hum. But yeah, Modern Warfare last year really seemed to kind of get back to like they clearly they put a major focus on it. They wanted to recapture that spirit and they did a great job. So here's hoping that this year that single player focus continues. Not to take anything away from the multiplayer, but it's be good to see, Activision and has limitless resources when it comes to Call of Duty because they put a lot of money into it, expecting it to make a ton of money. So
Right.
I want to see those resources go into making an excellent single player campaign like they did last year.
Now, David, are you a Call of Duty guy? Is Black Ops Cold War on your radar now?
I wouldn't call myself a Call of Duty guy, but I would agree with Ryan. And for some reason, I think I just really like Treyarch's games the most of all the developers. I think the Black Ops franchise has been my favorite. Like Ryan, I want to say Black Ops 1 is the game I probably spent the most time playing. I think I maybe got to level 50. I got some gold guns, things like that. Since then, I really haven't played Call of Duty a lot in the last that was years ago, several years. But you know what interested me the most about this trailer is it reminded me of the FX show The Americans. It almost a little bit like the opening credits. You have the family, the
Yeah.
Russian family, who's trying to infiltrate. They're living in the United States, raising kids. And it's really cool. So if they do a single player, I don't know. I just kind of think of Wolfenstein and the alternative history thing, just having fun with it a little bit. I think if they do something like that with their single player campaign, that could be really cool.
Yeah. Casey, any last thoughts from the comments before we wrap up today's show?
Oh,
They're still talking about.
Yeah, they're talking about a
Batman.
ton of stuff. 4G4G said Advanced Warfare was actually a great campaign, but people hated it because it was more of a sci-fi game, not a COD game. There's some people saying comments that I'm not going to read out loud here.
Be nice, everyone. We want to chat with you. It's a safe and wholesome place talking about the Cold War.
Artie Prario said COD is famous for their cipher and secret leading up to their new DLCs or projects, so it's fine. People are upset that I haven't played the COD campaigns.
We'll work on that. Okay, we're gonna give Casey a couple of weeks off just to do that, but I'll pay vacation just to play Call of Duty.
You could do 2 in a day because most of them are like 5,
Really
6
short.
hours long.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could double up.
There you go. Well, we should hopefully be hearing some news more about Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Apparently, it will be fully revealed on August 26th. So, of course, you can expect to get all that information right here on IGN. That's our show for today, but we want to make sure that you will be back here next week where we get even more big news at Gamescom 2020, one of the biggest gaming events of the year. We tune in starting on August 27th for everything Gamescom has to offer right here on IGN, including exclusive world premieres, hands-on gameplay, cosplay, and I will not be able to overhype this because it is the most ridiculous thing we've seen. IGN's editors will be played by a robot. I'm not joking on that one. It's very strange. You'll have to tune in next week to find out why in the world we would be doing that. But it'll be great. So spread the hype by using the hashtag Gamescom2020 on all your favorite social platforms. And we will see you on August 27th. But hopefully we'll see you tomorrow too, because we'll be back for News, Games, and More. Same time, same place. Thanks to all my wonderful panelists and everyone watching. And we'll see you then.